Welcome back students, I am your geography teacher Vandana Joshi and you are watching SST June. Students, in our last video we have studied about the factors which are affecting to the speed, means velocity, and the direction of the air pressure. So in today's video we will study one more topic, which is the last topic of this chapter, that is the general circulation of atmosphere. In this topic, we will see what are the zones of the atmospheric pressure and the wind movement, and what are the types of wind and how these types are affecting to our weather system. So let's start the chapter with the introduction. So students, what is the general circulation of our atmosphere? How the air is circulating and moving in our atmosphere. Students, the movement of air in the different zone of our earth is known as the general circulation, and it is divided into three types of circulation which exist between equator and the poles. As we know that after the equator there are the tropical zones, and then after that the polar areas. So it is divided into three parts, and also it is affected by the solar heating and the rotation of the earth. So let's see what are these three zones. Students, these three zones are known as the Hadley cells, Ferrel cells, and the polar cells. So let's see how these cells are working and what is the meaning of Hadley, Ferrel, and the polar cell. So students, as it is visible on your screen, the first one cell is known as the Hadley cell. It is started from the equators, both of the side, northern and south, and it is low latitude air moves towards the equator due to solar heating. Air near the equator rises vertically and moves poleward in the upper atmosphere. Second one is the Ferrel cell. It is a mid-latitude, means atmospheric circulation cell. In this cell, the air flows poleward and eastward near the surface, and equatorward and westward at higher levels. As you can see, this is after the Hadley cell and before the polar cells. If we talk about the polar cells, it is situated both of the polars, northern and the southern polars. In that, what we can see that air rises, diverges, and travels toward the poles. Once over the poles, the air sinks, forming the polar highs at the surface. Air diverges outward from the polar highs, and the surface wind in the polar cell are easterly, means the polar easterlies. The air is moving on the east side. Students, these cells are divided into 7 pressure belts of the earth. These 7 pressure belts are known as the equatorial low pressure belt, subtropical high pressure belt, which is the northern hemisphere, subtropical low pressure belt, it is on the southern hemisphere, subpolar low pressure belt, it is on northern hemisphere, and subpolar low pressure belt on the southern hemisphere. Also 2 more belts are there which are situated on the polar areas. These are known as the polar high in the northern hemisphere and the polar high in the southern hemisphere. So students, just now you have seen the 3 different types of cells which are situated in our earth. These are Hadley cells, Ferrel cells, and the polar cells. Also these cells, if we talk about the division of these cells, these are divided into 7 parts as I told you and shown in the picture. So students, now let's see what are the different type of wind which are moving in that areas, and also how these type of winds are affecting to our atmospheric climatic system. So students, if we classified the wind into types, the wind is basically classified into 3 types. That first is permanent wind. It is also known as the trade wind. These type of winds blow a whole year in the same condition. So that's why these are known as the permanent wind. Secondly, the seasonal wind. These winds blow according to the season. And also the third type of wind, it is known as the local wind. If the particular type of winds are blowing at a particular place, these type of winds are known as the local wind. So example for the local wind, we can take Lu. Lu is a perfect example for the local wind. So now let's see what are these type of wind and what are the example of these winds and how these are interrupting in our weather system. Students, as the wind is mainly divided into planetary winds and the periodic winds. So these three types of wind, as the permanent, seasonal and the local, these are the example of the planetary winds. Why we are saying them so? Because the winds which blow in fixed direction throughout the year are known as the permanent wind or the planetary winds. These type of winds originate due to the presence of permanent high pressure and low pressure belt on the surface of the earth. The main planetary wind are the trade winds. These are the westerlies winds and the polar winds. Now, what are the trade winds, or we can say the permanent wind? One more time we can see that winds which blow from subtropical high pressure belt to equatorial low pressure belt are called trade winds. These winds blow constantly in the same direction. They are also called the easterlies as they blow from the east. If we have to describe in short about the seasonal winds, what are the seasonal winds? These winds change their direction in different seasons. For example, monsoon in India. And if we talk about the local winds, these blow only during a particular period of the day or year in a small area. For example, land and sea breeze, about which we will discuss later. And also we can include the Lu in the local winds. Other examples of the local wind are Chinook, Fohn and Harmattan. These type of winds are known as the local wind. Students, as I told you, these types are the subtypes of the planetary winds. One more type is there which is known as the periodic wind. So what is the periodic wind? The periodic winds are the winds which change their direction in different seasons during the year. They blow in a definite direction during a particular period of the day or year. These winds are caused by the unequal heating and cooling of the earth's surface, which is known as the insolation process, and the localized differences in the atmospheric pressure. As I told you, there are the different type of differences or the localized differences in the atmospheric pressure. So what are these winds and how we can describe them? Let's see. So here first we will discuss about the land and the sea breeze. See, there are two types of breeze. One is land and the one is sea. How these are different and why these are included in the breeze? Let's see. The land and the sea breeze blow along the coastal regions for a few hours only. During the day, the land usually gets hot while the sea remains cool and pressure difference is created. The wind that blows from sea towards the land bring the temperature down in the coastal region during the day. It is called sea breeze. And if we talk about the land breeze, what is it? At night, the land cools down much faster than the sea. The wind blowing from the sea is warmer and lighter. So the pressure over the sea is lower than the pressure over the land. So the air blows from the land toward the sea and it is known as the land breeze. So what we can say, the air which blows from the land toward the sea, it is land breeze, and the air which blows from sea toward the earth, it is known as the sea breeze. Now next is mountain and the valley winds. What are these? as the name is showing, the winds which are blowing from mountain to valley, these are known as the mountain winds, and the winds which blow from valley towards to the mountains, these are known as the valley winds. So let's see what is it. The mountain breeze, they occur during night when the air at upper slopes become dense, compressed and heavy due to more cooling and ground radiation. So these winds are known as the mountain breeze. And the valley breeze or valley winds, they occur during the daytime due to insolation. So if we compare both, the mountain winds, these are occurring during the night time, and the valley breeze are occurring during the daytime. As I told you that valley winds are getting heat from the bottom, and then air becomes light and it blows toward the mountain. One more thing is there, which is known as the air masses. What is the work of air masses? Air masses is a condition in our atmosphere which is giving a help, or it is helpful to create a proper weather. So what is it? See, an air mass is a thick and extensive part of the atmosphere, and in this it has uniform temperature and humidity, due to which the temperature can remain same for a long time, and it is having many layers in it, and these layers are helpful to create a proper weather system. It is also divided into 5 major regions. So what we can say, number 1 is the warm tropical and subtropical ocean. Then second, the subtropical hot desert. Third, the relatively cold high latitude oceans. Fourth, the very cold snow covered continents in high latitudes. And the fifth is permanently ice covered continents in the Arctic and Antarctic area, as you can see in this given picture. Now let's see what are the fronts. The air masses of different densities do not mix readily and tend to retain their identities as far as temperature and moisture are concerned. The boundary zone of the convergence separating the two air masses are called fronts. Means when the air mass is divided into two parts due to the convergence of boundaries, then it is called fronts. When a warmer and lighter air mass moves against a cold and more dense air mass, the former rides up over the latter. This is known as the warm front, and the another one is known as the cold front. What is the condition of cold front? If the cold air masses force its way under a mass of warm air and pushes the latter upward, the front will be called a cold front. Now let's see another topic. It is cyclone, about the cyclone. As in the last video I have already discussed that cyclone is a zone which can create by the air pressure due to the low air pressure or the high air pressure. Also, the cyclone is of two types, that is cyclonic circulation and the anticyclonic circulation. So here we will discuss about the temperate cyclones and the tropical cyclones. So what are the temperate cyclones and the tropical cyclones? First let's see what are the temperate cyclones. The temperate cyclones are concentrated in the middle latitudes between 35 degree and 65 degree in both hemispheres. They are generally extensive, having a vertical thickness ranging from 9 to 11 km and a diameter of about 1000 km. And it is just like a spearhead having the shape of an upper mid V. And if we talk about the tropical cyclone, as we can see the name, the tropics, which is situated near around the tropics. So these type of cyclones are having a fast velocity, means the speed of these type of cyclone is very high, and they develop over oceans, particularly in the tropical region. If we talk about the development of these tropical cyclones, the most of the tropical cyclones developed in a belt of 8 degree to 15 degree north and south latitude. And as I told you, the cyclones are divided into two parts, that is cyclone and the anticyclone. So what are these? First, let's see what is cyclone. A cyclone is a center of low pressure surrounded by high pressure on all sides. A cyclone has a converging system of winds which tend to blow towards the center. Also, the cyclone are two type. These type of cyclone are two type of, like as already I told you, that is temperate and the tropical cyclone. If we talk about the anticyclone, anticyclone is a little bit different. Why? Because anticyclone is a center of high pressure surrounded by low pressure on all sides. Also, these type of cyclones have a diverging system of winds radiating from the center, and the wind blow in a clockwise direction in the anticyclone. If we will compare the cyclone, in that the wind blows anti-clockwise, and in the anticyclone the wind blows in a clockwise direction in the northern hemisphere and the anti-clockwise in the southern hemisphere. And these are also of two types. These are cold anticyclone and the warm anticyclone. These cyclones are having the different name. In India, these are known as the cyclone, and Indian Ocean, hurricane in the Atlantic, typhoon in the Western Pacific, and in the South China. And if we talk about the Western Australia, it is known there Willy Willis, and also many names are there of these type of cyclones. With the cyclone, one more weather phenomenon is occurring, that is known as the thunderstorm and the tornadoes. So tornadoes we have always seen in the pictures, and the thunderstorm, many times we have seen the thunderstorm in our country. So let's see what are the thunderstorms and the tornadoes through a video clip. So students, here our topic atmospheric circulation and weather system is complete. In our next video, we will study about the water in our atmosphere, and in that chapter we will study what is the amount of water in our atmosphere. So for that, keep watching SST June.